Up next, we're going to talk about a big mistake that a lot of new divers and not so new divers make when it comes to adding a GoPro or GoPro accessories to their diving kit way too soon. I'm Diver Dave. I've still got the coffee, and you know we're about to get into it. Let's go. GoPro diving rule number 1. If your buddy is diving with a GoPro, then you should probably approach the dive as if you were a solo diver. And if you're not prepared to be a solo diver, gear redundancy, awareness, dive experience, navigation, and all of the other responsibilities that come with being a solo diver. Oh, and don't forget about the training. Then quite simply, find a new dive buddy. Because it's almost a guarantee that at some point during that dive, getting the right shot will become more important than your safety as a dive buddy. July 29th, 2020, what was about to be dive day and dive number 68 for me. My buddy and I, Scuba Clint, shout out to Scuba Clint, had decided today we were going to go visit the wreck of the Kinghorn. The Kinghorn sits in about 80 to 90 feet of water off the shore of Rockport, Ontario. We had heard great things about it and decided, hey, today was going to be the day that we did it. We thought we had built up enough of experience to go and do the dive, and we said, hey, let's go do it. We get on the charter boat, and by the way, to new divers, if you're on a charter boat making your way to the dive, and you have someone on that boat that is nonstop talking about the dive and how much they know and this and that, chances are probably not going to be the best dive buddy. So just red flag number 1. But on July 29th, we were still new divers. We had no idea. And so we got into conversation with this person, and they invited us along because they thought, hey, it's your first time to the wreck. Allow me to help you navigate and tour around the wreck. Scuba Clint and I thought, hey, what a great deal, because we were a little nervous about the dive anyway. And so to have to worry less about navigating it was going to be pretty good. Awareness tip number 2, be aware of the gas mix that everyone in your dive group is diving, by the way. We were on 21%. We didn't quite understand that he was on 32%. So that would have made our NDL time significantly lower than his. We get to the edge of the boat, we're about to jump in, and I notice, oh, our new dive buddy has a shitload of GoPro gear with him. Red flag number 2, which I just didn't catch. We make our way down the descent line, which is at the bow, and the bow is about 50 feet off the line. We get to the top of the deck, which is about 75 feet, and instantly our dive buddy goes into full GoPro mode, and we become almost a zero priority for him. So at this point, we start following him around the wreck. We make our way down to the stern, which is the deepest part, which is around 90 feet. And we start to go inside, which is some massive swim-throughs. As we're going through the swim-throughs, I'm at around 6 minutes of NDL time. And so we make our way up to midship, which is about 75 feet on the top of the deck. And I let him know, hey, I'm at about 5-6 minutes. He acknowledges and then starts to make his way back to the stern. Now, in my mind, I'm like, well, we came down at the bow. At this point, we should probably be making our way back towards the bow. Visibility, not that great that day. So I made the wrong decision to keep following him back to the stern. At this point, now I'm down to about 3 minutes of NDL. I try to go a little higher to gain me some time back, and I let him know my NDL is low. At this point, he acknowledges me and continues to do the GoPro thing. And even worse, starts rolling out a banner of his dive club's logo so that Scuba Clint and I could hold it so he could get a video. And in my mind, I'm like, hey, there's no time for this. It's time to go. So I let him know I'm at 1 minute NDL, and I'm actually now a little bit higher than him, and I'm saying it's time to end the dive and head back to the bow. He looks at me and continues to roll out the banner. At this point, I look at Scuba Clint, and I say, I'm out. I start making my way back to the bow. Scuba Clint's following. I try to go a little higher, and I made a mistake because the bad visibility, I now lost track of the wreck. Visibility was about 10 feet that day. Scuba Clint's right behind me, and now we are in basically mid-green water, now trying to find the ascent line. At about 40 feet, because we're in the middle of the river, I said, you know what? We're not going to find the ascent line. I start to grab my SMB, and I was like, well, now we got to figure out deploying this SMB thing. The dive gods were with us that day because I turned around, and the ascent line was literally right behind me. So somehow we had kind of backed our way right into it. Safe ascent up, safety stop, all that said and done. Long story short, when that guy came back on the boat, I let him have it. I was like, dude, you told us you were going to give us a tour. You told us that, we could follow you around. And as soon as we got down there, you really could care less what we were doing. It was all about fucking GoPro. And so we had a lot of choice words. I decided I would never dive with that person again. And there have been a few horror stories since then about that diver that I won't share. But that was the day, Dive 68, July 29th, 2020, is when I decided as a diver that I would no longer rely completely on another diver to lead me and navigate me around a dive site. Back to rule number 1. If your buddy has a GoPro, prepare to dive solo. Rule number 2, diving with a GoPro. Just don't do it. Not until you're ready. Well, Dave, how do I know I'm ready? And this is where I'm going to hit you and come on back to core skills. And I'm laughing because I feel like a broken record on rule number 2. Buoyancy control, horizontal and trim positioning, and fin control. If you have those down and you have mastered those 3 core skills, then yes, you might be ready to take a GoPro on your dive journey. But let's be honest, if you don't have those skills mastered, what's the point of taking the GoPro with you? Number 1, how good is that footage really going to be? Number 2, honestly, if those core skills aren't intact, the addition of the GoPro is just going to be an added stressor to your dive, and that might be enough to take you over the edge. And by the way, if you're showing up for a training or a certification course or an assessment dive, just leave the GoPro at home. The last thing the instructor wants to see is you showing up with your dive gear and on the bench looking down and seeing a GoPro that you are anticipating on taking with you on the dive. For me, I can guarantee you that is just a hard no. Put that thing back in the car. Let's focus on the diving. Worry about the video and photo taking later. So, rule number 2, just leave the GoPro at home until you are ready. And this brings us to the last rule of the video, which is rule number 3, because I know the question's coming. Hey, Dave, well, when the hell can I use my GoPro? And I'm going to say, well, if you've checked off rule number 2, then certainly it might be time to add the GoPro into your dive kit. And then even if you haven't checked off rule number 2, then I'm going to suggest there is one exception where the GoPro absolutely makes sense, and that is as a training aid. You're going to grab your buddy, you're going to go to your local dive spot, you're going to hit the platform, and you're going to say, hey, today we're going to work on buoyancy, fin, horizontal positioning, whatever it is you want to work on. You're going to set that GoPro up in the corner and have it video the entire dive session. You will be shocked at what the GoPro picks up in terms of identifying all of the different areas that you could improve on. So as a training aid on a practice dive, it absolutely makes sense to take it. My own personal experience of a GoPro is I waited a very long time to add it to my dive kit. Probably 600 or 700 dives in is when I first decided to start taking a GoPro with me just to sort of document some of the dives I was doing. But I certainly used it earlier as a massive training aid to sort of help me improve on those core skills. 3 rules. Number 1, be careful. If you have a dive buddy with a GoPro, you might have to consider going solo. Rule number 2, if your core skills are not in check, leave that GoPro at home. And rule number 3, only take the GoPro with you when the core skills are in place and you feel confident enough to take on something that might be an added stressor on your dive. And of course, as a training aid. Once again, I hope you've enjoyed the video. I would love to see some comments below on how you actually use a GoPro in your own dive journeys. And please, take a moment, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. It's the only way our YouTube channel is going to grow. Practice hard, dive safe. Take care. You're going to go to your local dive spot. Someone slammed the door, and now it got picked up on the mic. I don't know where I'm going next. Okay, diving with a GoPro. Okay, still not there. We're not there yet. It's early morning. Rule number 1, when it comes to GoPro, and we don't have that flow yet, so let's get the flow. Let's try that one more time.